Now, as I continue to read Matthew's Gospel, I'm very aware of a growing sense of confrontation between Jesus and those who were opposing him. Jesus is presented with a political question. Let me read to you from Matthew 22:15 to 22. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. "Teacher," they said, "we know that you're a man of integrity and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what in your opinion is the right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar? Is it right or is it not?" But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, "You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax." They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, "Whose image is this? And whose inscription?" "Caesar's," they replied. And then he said to them, "So give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." When they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. It's quite clearly an attempt to trap Jesus. And I like the description that's quite clear in verse 15. That they were not just trying to trap him with a question, they wanted to trap him in his own words, in the words of his answer. So that helps us and gives us an insight into why Jesus answered in the way that he did. So often people, it's what they say. We've heard Kim Kirley talking about being in the legal profession. Well, very often it's what we say that really is so important. And they were trying to trap him in his words. They thought they had the perfect trap. I mean, look, this is a very, very significant trap, one that really is trying to catch him out. Tell us then, what in your opinion, is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? Nothing could be clearer. If you can give us an answer to that, half of us say yes, half of us say no. Come on, tell us, is it right to do that? They thought they had the perfect trap. Either way, his answer would lead to trouble. If, in fact, he'd said, no, you shouldn't pay the imperial tax, that would cause anger. If he said, oh, yes, you should pay that tax, there would be Jewish leaders that would feel angry at his response. Jesus, of course, knew their minds. I like that in verse 18. It's not the first time in the gospel that we've been aware of that insight of Jesus into human personality, into the reactions of people. But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, it was their intent that mattered, not the question itself, but why they were asking the question. So Jesus has an answer for them. He asks for a coin and mentions the portrait on the coin. Let me read it again for you. But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, "You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax." They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, "Whose image is this? And whose inscription?" Now, you've got to remember that they had special money in the temple to pay Jewish taxes. So having coins to pay taxes is not a strange thing, and certainly would not be to the religious leaders a very, very significant thing that separated them. No, Jesus knew what was going on in their minds. He didn't separate the sacred and the secular. And that's something that we have been very committed to at Wesley Mission. When we present the good news of Jesus, when we want to share the gospel with other people, when we want to share what it is that we believe, we know that we can't create two worlds. This is a world in which God is Lord of all of life. And we have responsibilities in that world. I know that we may say to ourselves, oh, Jesus shouldn't have answered this way. But the truth is that the ATO in this country, the tax office in Britain, the people of the Inland Revenue, whether it's in North America here or wherever in the world, if we were to say we're not going to pay the taxes because we believe everything belongs to God, you won't get very far. You'll get short shrift if you try that argument. And Jesus knew that. But he also knew that there was a much more deeper, a profounder issue at stake. And it really is something that they had to come to terms with. And they were trying, when you realize now you're at chapter 22, you're beginning that journey that will eventually lead to the cross. They're trying all they can to be able to trip him up, to be able to put him in a corner, trap him in any way that they can. And the response was that of utter amazement. It tells us at the end of the section, when they heard this, that's when Jesus told them to go and give to Caesar what is Caesar's, to God what is God's. When they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. And you know, it's a little bit like the story of the devil early on in the temptations. He went away until an opportune moment, till a time. They go away, but they're not going away forever, because very, very soon we're going to be able to see how that planning and that plotting comes to a head in the cross. What does it say to us? I think it tells us we've got responsibilities in the world around us. I think it tells us we mustn't get caught out by trips and traps that take us away from the main thing. And I think more than anything, it tells us don't separate the sacred and the religious from those responsibilities that are ours in the world. And whenever we hear God's word and truth, we are utterly amazed. Whoever it is, whether it's a child hearing a story or whether it's in our daily lives, we have a commitment and a loyalty, first of all, to the one who is the Lord of life, Jesus Christ.